Hey guys, I'll do a little tutorial on a little painting tutorial again on a piece we just carved in the cottonwood bark. This is that little gnome. You can take a look at him. This is before I've done anything to him. I just carved him, kind of scuffed him up with a little sandpaper. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to coat him with some oil. And this is just mineral oil. Pure, clean mineral oil. It doesn't alter color, it just kind of gives everything a wet look, but in the painting process, it helps the paint flow really nice and kind of gives it just a nice look that I like. I mean, it's totally up to you. A lot of people will use boiled linseed oil. I don't want to mess with that because I don't want to mess with the rags because they can explode. So if you are using, or not explode, but catch on fire, combust, I should say. So if you are using those, be very careful and dispose of your rags properly. Do not wad them up and put them in a corner somewhere. They will catch on fire. So I like to use this. There's no harm. You can drink this stuff. It's actually used as a laxative, believe it or not. Old school stuff there, but it's that clean, pure mineral oil. So I coat it on there, put not a gob of it, but enough to saturate it. And then I would sit for not long, and you just kind of wipe it off. Try to get it out of those deep little cracks, like that. Okay. Now you can let this sit and dry for a while if you want. You can start painting it right away too. By the time I get all my stuff ready to paint, which I kind of already do. I should get my paints out. I didn't pull them out yet. But I think this gnome, instead of doing the red hat, I'm going to do a green hat on this guy. And maybe give him a dark beard. His face will stay natural. I just leave this. Oops, I'm sorry, I was off the camera. All his cheeks and his nose and that bottom lip, I'm going to leave the natural color of this wood. It'll once it's painted, it makes for a pretty nice skin tone. And the rest, so this will be green, the top of the hat up here. The cuff of the hat right here that I got textured to make it look like it's kind of furry. I'm going to paint that. I think I'll use antique parchment. It's an off-white color. In fact, let me get them out. I'll show you. Yeah, this is antique parchment. Kind of looks white here, but compared to white, I'll show you the difference. You can see how much whiter this white is. Look at the bottom. So this one's a little darker. This is whiter. About the only thing I use this white for is eyes. I don't use it too often. So I'm going to use that color, and let's select a green color. How about this green? How about this green? This one's called... No, that's a bright green. What is it? Isn't there another? I had another green color. I guess that's it. We'll do this one. It's called bright green. Yep, this is made by Folk Art. Anyways, we'll try this one. So those two colors, and I'll be using this brush. I think it's a round one. Where's it at? Round number. Where is it? I lost it. Lost my brush. Well, we'll use this one. This is the number 3. Be good enough. Round number 3 brush. And we'll probably use a tiny little liner brush of some sort. We'll figure that out in a minute. But what I like to do is water my paints down, as I mentioned. Let's put this oil away before I spill it. Okay. So I usually keep a little tub of water, clean my brush out. Anyways, put a little bit of water on there. And I'll put a couple of drops of green paint in there. I mean, you can see this. A couple drops of that. I'll dip my brush in the water and I'll mix these up. So again, this is going to be for the hat. And I like watering the paints down for a couple reasons. I like the look of it. I don't like that solid, real solid look. And it also makes it easy to cut up to different parts that you're not wanting to paint. Like when I paint this hat, I'll be painting up to the cuff. And since I carved around that cuff, there's a line scored in there that I scored with my knife. You can, if you look closely, you can see a little line in there. I need a little more light here. You can see that line. So the paint will stay right into that, okay? So let's get some green paint on there. See, it's kind of watery. See how it flows right into that line? And even with this oil on there, you can see the paint starting to absorb in there. Yeah, and just keep running that paint around up there. And then what I like to do is I'll put a coat on, and if I don't like the way it looks and it absorbs in there far enough, I'll put on another coat. And then it'll make it a little bit deeper. And a little bit deeper. You can't be in a hurry doing this. You want to, especially if you're not used to painting, take your time. Don't mess up your nice carving that you just did. So I'm just kind of evening it out, checking it out, looking it over. And I'm kind of liking the faded look, kind of a folky looking. And the soffits, it looks like the facets are going to pop out. That's all your little knife marks. And that's good. Want them to kind of be seen. All right, a piece of fuzz. So I'm kind of liking that right there. I don't think I'm going to do any more on that. If you want yours darker, go ahead. You don't even have to water your paints down if you don't want to. That's just my preference. And I'll wipe up my brush. Clean out my brush a little bit. And wipe up some of this. Clean that up, get ready for the next color. All right. Okay, got that clean. Now, let's do the white parchment next. In fact, you know what I'm going to do? Because this is such a small piece. I'm going to screw this. This is a little thing that was made for holding paints. It's just a screw glued inside of a handle. You cut the screw off, drill the hole in the handle, put it on there, put a little epoxy or whatever glue in there, glue it in. It's just a, looks like a big heavy drywall screw, but you can use even smaller. And you just kind of stick it in there, and it holds it for you. That way, when you're doing a small piece like this, you don't have to worry about getting it all over your fingers. Now, you're not need much of this, probably a drop, along with a drop of water and a brush full of water. I'm using the same, I'm going to use that same brush. And so I'm just, if you can see, I'm mixing my paint up. You can see the consistency it is. It's pretty thin. And I'm going to start right here in this outside edge. And bring it right in there. Just kind of letting it fall down in there. Very carefully. If you don't have real steady hands, maybe you know somebody that does, can paint for you. I know a lot of guys that carve and their wives paint for them. A lot of carvers, some reason, don't like to paint. I like it myself. I like the process of painting. I've said that before in other videos. So I'm kind of cutting it in around the bottom of the hat up to the nose there. Try not to get any paint on the nose. If you do, it's not the end of the world. You can always clean your carving up with a little slice of a knife. You can carve that right off there. Okay, so pretty much got that cut in on the bottom. Okay, now I'm going to flip it up so I can see the top part and cut up into that green. Pretty amazing, 2 drops of paint. Actually, it was only one. This is only 1 drop of paint in the water. So paints will last you a long time. And then as you're working on your piece, you can dry with a hair dryer, heat gun, whatever. Heat gun I don't recommend because it gets too hot, and what'll happen is if you try to dry it too fast and get it too hot, the oil will pop back out and you'll see it get really shiny in areas where the oil's coming back out of the carving. So if you do it, you got to use it on a cool setting. If you do use a warm setting, only use it for a quick couple seconds, then kick it back down to cool. But having this little handle, you can get away with not even having to use a hairdryer because you don't have to touch anything unless you need to put a second coat. Then you might want to use it. I just kind of go over it a couple of times. It gives me a little more solidness. Not that I want a lot of it, but enough. And the only reason I think I'll dry this if I do a little antiquing on this piece, I talked about it in the carving video of this gnome, is that you can mix a little antiquing, or if you can buy it, and you put it over, and inside all these little tiny gouge marks I made, those will fill up dark and create like a dirty look, like it's been worn, like it's something that's been used for a long time. Okay, so I think that's all I'm going to put on that. I'll clean that brush up. this little bit of paint out of here. Now I'm going to go with a dark, gosh, let's see. Let's just try dark brown. Let's see what dark brown looks like. This is Brown Oxide by Apple Barrel. A couple drops of that. I'm going to do a brush full of water or two. This is probably going to be a little bit more solid than the others. A couple of brushfuls of water and 2 drops of paint is what I've done with this. I didn't put any extra drops in, just what came on the brush. Okay, let's see what it looks like. That's going to be fine. We may even give him some little gray whiskers here and there on top of this. And maybe just dry brush this thing in a little bit. And I may have to get a smaller brush out to get up in that mustache area so I don't mess it up. Okay, here though. Like I said, you don't even have to carve or paint these if you don't want to. That's not necessary. You could put the oil on it, or you could just put a stain on it, whatever you want to do. I just think a lot of times the paintings really enhance, give it the definition and more fun to look at. Well, maybe I can get this with this brush. Let's see. If you don't feel comfortable, get a smaller brush. No big deal. Oh, I'm totally off the camera. I'm so sorry. I get painting these and I can't see very well. So I was getting up in these nooks and crannies. Right up here. Brushing all these down. Underneath that hat. So this is basically what I did when I was off camera. I'm so sorry. But I'm just going to throw another little coat on here. Just make it a little more solid. I'll leave the lip like it is. Try to get inside these like this. So as you can see, all right, let's do a little bit darker up here. Like so. Now you could leave it like that and call that okay. That's totally up to you. Or you can do what I'm going to do here in a second. Okay, bear with me. I'm going to dry this real quick. All right, just that fast. So, that's what he looks like, kind of dried. Now, I'm going to take some more of this white parchment, and I'm going to put one tiny, whoop, I didn't even want that much. Tiny bit of paint there. Just a tiny bit. And I'm going to put a lot of water on this. For one drop, I'm going to put probably almost 10 drops of paint, I would say. Maybe even a tad bit more. And I'm going to mix that up. Real good. I don't want nothing heavy. I want to make sure it's all thinned out really well. Okay, then I'm going to wipe my brush off and I'm going to put it back in there, and then I'm going to dab my brush again. And let's start on the head up here and do some dry brushing over this. That's not even dry enough yet. Let's get it a little drier. I'm just going to dry brush it and make them facets pop out a little bit. Just a little bit. So there's barely anything on my brush, but once this gets on there, you'll see the. So I started a little heavy. That's wrong. I thought I would hit enough off. You just want to get that little bit on there. Now we're going to put a little bit more on there. And I'm going to dab it again, get that paint off of my, give myself enough room here. And then I'm going to do the same thing over this beard, kind of give him where he's got a few gray whiskers. That's a little wetter here, and that's okay. Kind of give him a little bit of a shade of gray over his darker beard. Just think about when you see somebody with a beard, because sometimes they have a little more gray in their mustache, or less gray in their mustache, and more right down there below their chin, their lip. Maybe their sideburns, where their meets their hair, it gets a little grayer. So everybody's different, I guess. But that's pretty much it. That's about all I'm going to do with this one. Very simple. Nope, I got a little bit of paint right there. Again, you can clean that off. It might come off with just a little damp cloth too. It will. I already got it with my thumb. Well, I hope this helped everybody. Until the next time, thank you.